Hello, dear viewers. This is Mr. Nando Samba Rundula, Kennedy Kulu. As I promised you last week, here now is our second clip on written communication titled How to Write Successful Summaries. That's the title of our today's presentation. Now, I wish also to acknowledge having received some complaints from some viewers claiming that the attachment I had put to the clip was somewhat illegible, and for that, this is the answer now. I think today's presentation would not pose that problem. We might have new problems, after all we are human beings. Now, why choose this title? The reasons for choosing this title are two. The first one is to help students write summaries effectively and so pass their English exams with flying colors. It should be noted that all English examinations comprise a summary component, which normally, on average, carries about 1/3 of the total marks of the English papers. So, a good pass in a summary section can guarantee you actually a very good pass, an A+ or so. Now, what do we observe on the ground? Year after year, it has been observed that many a student is unable to score good grades, or that is because they cannot write an efficacious summary. And so they throw away the 1/3 of their total marks away like that. And so they end up getting either bare passes or something even below the bare pass. This is a very important component in any English examinations and at all levels of education. That was the first reason. The second reason is indeed we are bringing to remedy this anomaly once and for all by providing you viewers with, what we may call the ingredients for you to enable you become a versatile writer of sound summaries. By the way, what's a summary? Well, a summary is simply an abridged statement or a set of abridged brief statements containing only main details of something under discussion. Why do we have to write summaries? Of course, we want to give readers a general, thorough, that is to say, complete and concise idea about the subject under discussion, the content of the passage, for example. And so that's why we write summaries. And it is a very essential skill, you see. Now, it should be noted that in a good summary, no minor detail, no illustrations should appear there. No. It's only the main point. We will come to that one towards the end where we shall give you the do's and the don'ts. And so, let's now observe summary in our everyday life. Where do we find summaries in our everyday life? The answer is everywhere. Everywhere we look, we are bound to be met with the summary items. Examples of summary writings, include something like learners. Our children spend 8 hours at school. When they come back home, they are often able to tell us parents, what the activities of the day in fewer or in less than 5 minutes. And that's a good oral summary. Our concern is written summary. Put it in writing, that will be a sound summary. The thing is this, for example, another example let me give you is that in a football match normally lasts for 90 minutes. But a trained broadcaster can give us general views containing only main points in less than 5 minutes again. That one too, news in brief or sports news, whatever. All those are, in fact, examples of summaries in our everyday life. Why we are mentioning this is to say that if they are able to do that, why do they score very low grades in an exam? Something is amiss there. And this is what we are trying to put right, to correct. So we have already said that we have to be concerned only with main points. When writing an exam summary, it is wiser and safer to follow the examiner's required number of words to the letter. A longer summary will certainly mean it contains irrelevant details, just as a shorter summary, shorter than the required number of the examiner, will have left out some of the main point. So this will be the guidance as you are writing. The examiner has a list of points. He knows what he wants. So you have to just make an effort and find out all the main points. Don't include irrelevancies. Type of summaries, we can simply say there are as many types of summaries as there are levels of education. For summary skills are taught in all schools as shown below. We will see it very shortly. Summary items come in different shapes and forms depending upon the level of education. Topic outlines, for examples, like a synopsis at the back of your book, would mean a summary too. This is a summary. Of course, this is also a summary. As you can see, they are not sentences, so they are topic outlines. They are also summaries. Summaries are really in different shapes and forms. So in a synopsis, the blurb, it's also a summary. Now, as we walk along the street, I call it, this one subsection, ubiquity, or that means omnipresence of summary. Wherever you look, you'll be met with a summary item. When you see a business house calling itself Pick and Pay, you should know what their business is about. Cash and carry, post office, cut price grocery, Victoria Falls, school, book world, hotel, motel, charts, the charts that we see at railway stations and airports, road signs, all these army barracks. When you read these, you should know they tell you everything in short. They are the main points, what their businesses, are about, and or what they deal in. So in a school, they provide services. They educate the children. Fitness center, you see, 24/7 service. You can go there any time of the day and you'll be attended to. Take away as a solid compound. Take out or carry out. In US, the take away are called take out or carry away. Anyway, all these are also part of the summary. So wherever you go, names of street, all these are part of what we call summary items. So that's why it's very, very important even in our everyday life. We now come to what I said we teach summary. Schools teach summaries at all levels, primary, secondary, high school, and university. Now, what are the summary topics at upper primary? At upper primary, they can give small children charts and tabulations. Some of these charts can be filled already, like the solar system. They can give you a chart containing the solar system with the planets, and then the distances may be calculated in miles, and they would ask the children to convert them into kilometers or vice versa. They can also give them charts with empty charts to be filled, and a list of words aside. So, for example, classification of animals, reptiles, and then mammals, and then insects, arachnid, cetaceans, like that. So it's up to the children to choose the names from the list and fit it in that chart. The timetable at school is also another summary item. So there is no running away. Summary is everywhere. You can be given, children can be given a set of lines, a paragraph, and asked at upper primary to draw a conclusion. You see, so they describe the situation, and then they ask them, they give them A, B, C, D, and ask them which of these explanations correctly reflects the information contained in the paragraph. That's a summary question too at upper primary. They can also give them, they can also ask the children, they give them a paragraph and ask them to find the sentence, topic sentence, the sentence which contains the main point of that paragraph. And if they're able to do that, it's fantastic. It's really the way forward towards mastering the writing skill indeed. They can be given paragraphs and asked to find suitable titles for each. Their titles, titling paragraphs should reflect, in fact, the entire picture of what is being said in the paragraph, not halfway. Everything should come back. A family tree can be given to children. It's also a summary item. Questions can be asked to children. Well, how would you call the child from your cousin and things like that? It's a summary question. Next, at primary level, upper primary, they can also be given a sentence to complete. And so there will be again multiple choice there, A, B, C, D, to go with that, to see if the child can really, match the content with the correct option. Then they can also be asked to summarize what they've heard there in their own sentences, summarizing event. Or after visiting, maybe after going for some excursions, then they can be asked to write a brief account of what they saw, what they liked, what they didn't like. It's also a summary item at upper primary. We are through with upper primary for those 3 years, grade 5, 6, and 7. Now they come to junior secondary. At junior secondary, we will take all the items from upper primary back here, and then we include also cloze test, map reading, integrated into comprehension passages. You see, so map reading would be part of the comprehension, the summary rather. I mean here, integrated into comprehension passages. I mean here that the comprehension passage at junior secondary will contain also questions on summary towards the end. So that's how it is part of the comprehension passage. These are still tender children, small children. Not making skill and not taking skills should be introduced at this level. This is for 2 years, grade 8 and grade 9. From there, we go to high school. At high school, as you can see, allow me to open a bracket and say, education is an unbroken chain. So, we cannot ignore what we studied before because we are in a higher school. Everything should come together. And another sentence is that repetition is extremely important in any form of knowledge acquirement. You cannot acquire knowledge if you don't make mistakes and if you don't repeat that thing again and again. That is what it means. Allow me that kind of redundancy. But repetition is very, very important for us to master that knowledge once and for all. So, the materials, the topics that we covered at the upper primary level and the junior secondary will come back at the high school level, plus now what we call directed or guided or situational compositions or writing. These are normally in reduced length, not exceeding 200 words, and therefore they are summary items indeed in a different form. And then we can be asked at high school to summarize the whole passage you have read in your own words. That too is a summary question. And we should be able to do that. That's what we call précis. I open another bracket. The same précis, the same spelling is plural and singular. If it is singular, we pronounce it as précis. If it is plural, we will pronounce the same spelling as précis. Many précis, one précis. I close my bracket. Anyway, before closing the bracket, this is the same situation as that one of chassis. Same spelling for plural, but it will sound chassis. So this is what we call, indeed, words sharing the same spelling, that is homograph, but having varying sound because of the number, singular and plural. You see? And so I close now my bracket. The other, at high school, the other type of summary is this one we call selective summary. You have been talking about the advantages and disadvantages of modern packaging, plastic. The examiner may ask you to concentrate, to write a summary only on disadvantages. And so you should be able to do that too, leaving out the other section. Now, when you come to tertiary, colleges and university, you pick what you did at primary, junior secondary, high school, plus a lot of research papers and oral presentation. These two are summary. You walk into a library, you research, you write your own notes, you come back and you present something. From there, even professionals have to collect everything up to tertiary education, plus now, you see, plus minutes writing when there is a staff meeting, abstract, which are also called executive summaries or management summaries, memos. So summary items are everywhere indeed. In conclusion, we just have to be good at summary. We have to do our best really to tame this skill. You see, let me submit that no knowledge can be acquired in the absence of topic repetition again and again and again, and mistake making. The problem with mistake is make new ones. Once a mistake has been corrected, don't make it again, but of course we shall make new mistakes. There is no learning without mistakes, without repetition. That's what we said earlier on. So, a summary section as well as a composition and a comprehension sections is one of the main components of any English papers at any level of education. And regardless of the nature of the examination boards or council in use. As such, all learners ought to be fluently conversant with the summary skills and guard against falling into summary pitfalls and traps. What are the do's and the don'ts of summaries? How to write a sound summary? The do's are here. All your sentences should be yours. Don't borrow from the passage. You'll be charged with plagiarism. Use formal words and style. Topical words. You can borrow topical words from the passage, even phrases, but never a sentence, please. Use collective nouns when there is a list of alike items, like I bought 10 bananas, 15 mangoes, 5 oranges, and 2 lemons. These are simply fruits, collective nouns. Again, let me repeat, if your summary is too long, longer than the required number of the examiner, there are irrelevant details there, minor details, remove them. You can do so by replacing clauses with phrases or by dropping some adjectives. If your summary is too short, shorter than that of the examiner's requirement, then you must be assured that you have left out some main points. Please find them and include them. We are saying that the examiner's instructions, rubrics, must be followed to the letter for you to be on the safe side. All the main points from the passage to be underlined. As you are reading the passage, you can use 2 pens, red and blue. Red for advantages of modern packaging, blue for disadvantages. Like that, those will be like your note, your made notes. You can pick them and write now your continuous summary like that. The don'ts are here. On the other side, we have the don'ts. No minor detail, no examples, no illustrations, never borrow, that we have already said. No need. Don't introduce, don't create an introduction in your summary. Don't even conclude. It's not your opinion we want. We want you to give us an interpretation of what you have read, of what you have been told to do. So no introduction, no conclusion, just summarize the main point according to, you can start, for example, the passage says that, or the author reports that. That will be a good beginning, but not the introduction. That is besides the point. Avoid misspellings and ungrammatical constructions. Basically, if you follow these, you may not get 100%, but definitely you'll be very much on the safe side and get a very good pass in your English examinations, you know, at the end of the day. And you'll be happy with an A+ or so. And failure to follow these, definitely you will be in the range of bare pass, mere passes, something like that, which is not really a good thing to show to parents and guardians. This is the little that I had to share with you. We can continue the discussion on Facebook and other, social media. Here are the contact addresses for us to continue the discussion on the same. I wish to thank you for sparing me your precious time to be with me. I'm really very gratified. And so I wish to thank you once more. Please, if you can give us anything to promote our, presentations so that we can produce more, we would be very appreciative and indebted to you indeed. Our next presentation, let's see what will come. Within 2 weeks, another one will come, depending on the means. You know what I mean? And so we are working single-handedly, and we need your support too indeed. So share the video, view it, share it, and please subscribe, and let's share knowledge for the advancement of science. In this case, English linguistics. You see, the lingua franca everywhere you go. We cannot do without it. It's a fact of life. Once again, I thank you very much indeed.